Welcome back to this game's called The Deed. So I've discovered which I wanted to go with. I'm gonna go with the Mother's Diary and the Broom. And okay, some lag. Anyway, could be because the rain sound in the background is reducing the things a bit. Alright, the broom was downstairs, I know that. It's over in there? Yep, there it is. I can see it because the graphics are so graphically. Take the broom handle. Are you sure you want to take the broom handle? Remember, you can only pick up 2 objects. Oh yes, I'm sure. To find that there is no way you can conceal the broom handle on your person without causing suspicion, perhaps if you had kept your coat on. Wait. So, I didn't take it? Well, fudge. What's next? Broom, Q, alright. Let's just take the Q. But wait, there's no way to take the Q because it's long and cumbersome. So... shit, there goes my plan. Alright, let's see if I can go find Mother's Diary. Was that in this room? I don't actually remember. You managed to force open... oh, wait. Leave the poems. That's right, the poems. Mother's Diary was where Mother is staying, which is in here. I don't actually... okay, the creepy music starts playing again. That's right. Yes, take your mother's diary. Are you sure you want to take the diary? Remember, yes. You snatch the diary and with your back turned to your mother, you have a quick leaf through. In recent pages, she writes about the difficulties in caring for someone with your sister's condition and how she wishes it would all end. You realize this could look quite incriminating out of context. You remove the last 2 pages from the diary and place it back where it was. Aw, shit. Cool. Broom cute. Rope. Where's the rope? There's a knife. Strangulation. Probably wouldn't be the best way to go. I'm gonna take the knife. But wait, she's right there. So that wouldn't be good. I can take the rat poison though. Put it in her food. I'm gonna try that. Let's take the rat poison. Take the rat poison, yes. Yes, I'm sure. You take the rat poison and hide it on your person. Yes, poison is a nice, clean weapon. At least in all those murder stories you used to read. Dinner is about ready now. I will ring the bell to call everyone. Oh no! Okay, dinner is served. Oh, the rain stopped. Sweet. Sophia, could you come here a moment? Oh, okay. Yes, ma'am. Pour me some more wine. Yes, ma'am. But, madam... oh, what is it, George? I must protest. It has always been my duty to pour the wine at dinner. Oh, well, I don't want to cause any trouble. Nonsense, what does it matter, George? Stop being overly pedantic. Don't you think you've had enough, Mother? Do you let your staff speak to you like that? Come on, let George pour the wine. He just wants to look down your dress. How dare he? So I'm talking about Arran, not George. George has this thing where he feels like he's being replaced. But, if this were me, I actually do have something against my mother's drinking. So let's go with that one. Careful, Mother. If you drink much more, you might end up embarrassing yourself. Arran! What a rude little rat you are. That's enough out of you. How dare you insult your mother? Ah, interfering little rat, isn't he, Daddy? Yes, he is. Why can't you ever keep your mouth shut, boy? Perhaps I did speak out of turn. I apologize. Well, maybe. The way that he did say it was rather off. Now, don't lose your temper, Father. Maybe you're the one who needs to shut his mouth. You're right, I'm sorry. I must have had too much wine myself. You better not let it happen again. Sophia, could you come here, please? Yes, Miss Jennifer. They have the same voice. I just wanted to say that was the loveliest meal I've ever tasted. I don't know how you do it, you cunning pixie. You are so kind, miss. Of course I will have tea and cakes for you in the drawing room as usual after dinner. Oh, and you're so sweet. You are so good to me, you sweet thing. So very, very good to me. None for me, I'm full. I wouldn't mind some of your hotcakes. Hotcakes? Oh, creep. Would you two stop flirting with each other? No, it's fine. I Do you? Sophia isn't interested in your advances, sister. How do you know? I don't know, Sophia. That's the only one. I won't have any, thank you. I couldn't eat another bite. Well, you weren't offered any, so there. Please, Jennifer, let's all try to be civil. Anyway, let's not forget why we are here today. To celebrate your father's birthday, such a very important occasion for us all. You're so dear to us. You are so dear to us, Malcolm. Happy birthday, Daddy. Indeed, happy birthday, Father. Let's hope it will be one to remember. Doing the deed. Now it is time to quickly plant any items of evidence you have. To do so, simply enter the desired room and select the item in your inventory. When you are ready, enter the drawing room to do the deed. Holy mackerel. So, I picked up the rat poison. No, evidence. I'm leaving evidence. I'm going to leave Mother's diary. Let's see. Ooh, Mother's in there still. I have... I have an idea. Is this their room? I think so. Yes. Okay. I'm gonna leave it here. Now it's hardly time to be rummaging through. You have somewhere to be... Well, no. What did you mean? Oh, yeah. I got this item pages. Full of damning pages from your mother's diary. They tell me that Jennifer's condition is likely to get worse. I don't know how I can go on this way. Sometimes I wish she had never been born. And it goes on. Yes, these 2 pages alone should raise some suspicions about your mother. Do you want to play the item of evidence in this room? Yes, in their room. You decide to place the items in the wardrobe. That should be easy enough for the police to find. Okay. Now I have to go to the drawing room. Items to do the deed with the rat's poison. Okay, which one's the drawing room? This isn't the drawing room, is it? No, that's just creepy. That's the library. This might be the drawing room. Are you sure you want to enter the drawing room? Once inside, there's no turning back. Yes. You see Jennifer staring out of the window ahead of you, lost in one of her strange moods. She hasn't noticed you enter the drawing room. Now is the time. Choose the murder weapon. Rat poison, bare hands. Rat poison would have been better with the food, but bare hands would leave fingerprints. Let's go with the rat poison, see what that happens. Poison, the silent weapon of an intelligent killer, sprinkled over the cakes on the table. Ah, yes, because she was having cakes and tea. I got it. It could easily be mistaken for frosting with sugar. Having added a generous portion of your special topping to the cakes, you step back into the shadows and watch to make sure she eats them. Sure enough, she soon turns to the plate and devours 2 of them in quick succession. The poison works surprisingly quickly. She begins to choke, and her skin turns green. Finally, she falls to the ground in front of you. You examine her body to make sure she isn't breathing, before placing the container of poison on the desk. The deed is done. It's time to leave. Why would I leave the box, though? Fingerprints. It's time to leave this room before someone discovers it. Oh. Actually, 20 seconds? I don't know where I'm going. Can I leave my house? You can't leave now. There's work to be done. Ah, shite. Do I complain to my mother? Your mother is listening to her music. You know better than to disturb her. Well. God. George. Did you hear that, sir? Is that it? Yeah, there we go. Thank you. So I just had 20 seconds to get out of the room. Oh, okay. Sound effects are great. Good evening, everyone. I'm Chief Inspector Winston Lewis. I understand that this is a difficult time for your family. You're damn right it is. I want to know what you're doing, wasting time in here while my daughter's killer is still out there. Well, Mr. Bruce, we have found no evidence of forced entry, and nobody was seen entering or leaving the house. It would seem entirely possible, then, that the killer is in this room. What? No! That seems highly unlikely, Inspector. Perhaps it is. However, in order to follow protocol, I will have to interview each of you in turn. Mrs. Bruce, would you like to meet me in the library first? I suppose so. Damn! Interview. Thank you for joining me in here, Mr. Bruce. I'm sure this won't take long. Before we begin, I will need to search your person, best to get these formalities out of the way. Is this really necessary? I'm afraid so. Turn around, please. Now that that's out of the way, let's move on to this interview. As you know, I have already spoken to everyone else who was present in your house at the time of your sister's death. We have also now completed our initial search of the house, but we'll get to that later. Let's start from the beginning, shall we? First of all, we will run through all of your activities since your arrival. The maid says that you and the butler arrived shortly after 7 o'clock, and she greeted you at the door. Later, when you went to speak to the maid again, which is curious, why did you decide to visit the kitchen? Alright, to see when dinner would be ready to make sure my family was treated well. Isn't it obvious I was pursuing the maid? See when dinner would be ready. I was hungry and wanted to know when dinner would be served. That makes sense. Later on, you had a conversation with your mother, Gloria, in the parlor. She told me that you were unusually cordial, something about wanting to apologize and make amends. I was being sincere, I wanted to avoid another argument. That was a private conversation. I was being sincere because I don't want to be an asshole. Yes, I wanted to clear the air between myself and my family. I see. Do you think that is slightly suspicious that you suddenly wanted to reconcile after all this time? No, I don't think so. Very well then. I would have had so much time to think about it, though. It wouldn't be all of a sudden. She says you spoke briefly about your sister. Apparently, you seemed quite concerned about her well-being. We were worried my sister might attempt suicide. Actually, I wasn't especially concerned. I was more worried about my mother's mental state. That my mother and I were concerned that my sister might try to take her own life, as she has attempted before. She had she? I will take note of that. You went to see your father in the library. I understand your conversation became quite heated. My father has always had a temper. Of course it did. My father is an hereditary. Actually, I thought the conversation was civil. I don't want to put blame on anybody. That would make it even worse. But I know that the conversation wasn't civil. My father has a very short fuse. Many of our conversations go that way. Would you say he has a violent temper? Absolutely. I see. That's good to know. You discussed the prospect of moving you're moving back to Dunshiel. You said you would only move back if your sister was placed in psychiatric care. For her own well-being, of course. Yes, I wanted her gone from this house. I never suggested psychiatric care. I did. For her own well-being, though. I had her own best interest at heart. She belonged in care. You may be right, Mr. Bruce. However, you seem to be the only one who felt that way. Let's discuss your conversation with the butler. You spoke about your mother's recent mood, yes? He seemed very worried about her. I think he was just overreacting. He was just afraid of his impending retirement. Ooh. I know that... That's true, but he seemed very worried about her. Yes, my mother was having a very hard time dealing with my sister's condition, apparently. It sounded like she had pushed to the breaking point. Interesting. Did you speak to your sister before dinner? Yes, I did. Yes, I went to her room to see her. I see. And what did you discuss with her? Just small talk. We discussed her illness and her obsessions. Nothing at all. She insulted me and I left. I would rather not say. We spoke about her condition, and I was aware that she was going through a particularly difficult period. Did she seem distressed to you? Yes, you could say that. She was not in a good place, mentally speaking. I see. Let's move on to the events that took place during dinner. Apparently, you made a comment about your mother's drinking habits. I just wanted to get under skin, that's all. For her own good, someone needed to comment. I felt I had to say something. I thought she was drinking far too much. Do you think that this has anything to do with her difficulties in coping with your sister's condition? Almost certainly. Absolutely. Interesting. Now I need to ascertain your location at the time of your sister's death. Where were you when you heard the maid scream? Upstairs, ground floor. Basement. Ground floor. Foyer, library, parlor, storage room. Dining room, pantry, kitchen. Definitely. I was in... Not the foyer, not the library. I was in the storage room. I was in the storage room right next door. That's right, George did mention to me that you were in there with him. I did! Because I didn't know what to do. I had like 20 seconds and I thought I had to be somewhere in those 20 seconds. Anyway, as I said earlier, we have completed our initial search of the property. During the search, we discovered some pages from your mother's diary. It seems she was having a hard time dealing with your sister's condition. In some places, she even seemed to wish for her death. Does that surprise you? Yes, I'm at a loss for words. I'm curious about the murder weapon. The poison had apparently been sprinkled upon some cakes with which the maid had prepared. However, you also must have passed through the pantry in order to speak to the maid in the kitchen. Of course, your sister may have done this herself, if it was suicide. It's all very interesting. I'll be completely honest with you now, Mr. Bruce. While some of your behavior this evening has been peculiar, I can find no cause for any significant suspicion. While there is some suspicion regarding your father, I don't currently regard him as a serious suspect. I'm slightly curious about the maid, but I doubt she was involved in this. Sadly, I am forced to regard your mother as the primary suspect in this. The possibility of suicide must be considered, although I am personally unconvinced. Now, as for what happens next, you can go for now, but I would appreciate if you did not leave town. I may have more questions for you later. Unfortunately, I will need to arrest your mother. It is possible that an inquest might return to a verdict of suicide. We'll see. My cat just hopped into my lap. Hello, boy. Don't start tugging at my... Although the inspector harbored his own suspicions about you, your mother was treated as the prime suspect in the case. The evidence you had planted against her led to a trial and a swift conviction. She would be spending her life in prison for a crime she did not commit. Your father, beset by grief, turned to drink and wallowing. He died within a year, and you inherited everything. Dunshiel House was yours, along with the fortune that came with it. However, George and Sophia found themselves unable to continue serving in the place after what happened. As you spent many long, sleepless nights wandering through the rooms of the house, you found that its emptiness was reflected within yourself. You become a hollow inside, free of everything but the nightmares that continue to haunt you. Is that it? That is. Cool. So, that's been the deed. Very interesting. I think I can continue playing this. I mean, sure, we already know how the story goes, but there's still the possibility of using the toss that your father beat you with, which would actually probably be better, pardon me, would be better for anybody with a sane mind. However, we all know that I'm insane. Sure, father died over drinking, but he was abusive. Whatever. Mother, she was put into jail. I'm sorry. What? Okay. Mother's diary. Why not? The poems, though. Poems. I could have put the poems with the poison in the cakes. That would have been a very effective and non-anything thing. Either way. Different weapons. If I kept my coat, I could have used something longer, like the broom, or sword, shotgun, Q. The cue ball and not the stick. What did I just throw? Anyway, that's been the deed. Thanks again to Grandmaster Ted for purchasing this game for me. And as I said, I'm Shane, and I'm gonna end the video. Hey, did you like that video? If you did, you could subscribe. I mean, I can't subscribe to myself. But keep in mind that I do have another channel, and it's the Artisan channel. You can go subscribe to that too, and get a different style of content. While I do RPG Maker games on the Basis Phaser channel, on Artisan channel, we do whatever it is we feel like we're up to. And if you really liked us, could you go over to our Patreon account and become a patron? So take a look at the Patreon account, and thanks.